Last night you heard from Emma Webb, the young farmer leading the fight to save her community from 90 wind turbines, each 260 metres tall, or the height of Sydney's Barangaroo Tower.
We are collateral damage farmers, and that's a fact. Our community, like so many others, is being exploited by multinational billion-dollar corporations, and none of it is about saving the world or clean energy. It's about making money.
Many of the residents of Balong and Bounding near Yass in New South Wales have been there for generations, farming some of Australia's best sheep country or enjoying the tranquility of the area that was once Banjo Patterson's childhood home. Along with so much of rural Australia, this land's about to be transformed, most would say destroyed, as part of Australia's push to achieve net zero by 2050. Now, why you would want to devastate the planet in order to save the planet utterly escapes me. But the climate zealots running this government and infesting the bureaucracy are hell-bent on covering an area about the size of Tasmania with wind turbines and solar panels in their quest to limit emissions. Understandably, the people whose outlooks are going to be destroyed and whose property values are about to plummet, well, they are beyond angry. They feel betrayed.
Rural communities, we're easy targets. We don't have a powerful voice. We certainly don't have the numbers in terms of votes. So there is a massive power imbalance here that is being taken advantage of.
Why wouldn't they be angry? Because both sides of politics, Labor with green convictions and the coalition half-heartedly because they can't decide where they stand on this issue, are conspiring to subject them to something they feel is deeply wrong. And it is wrong. To give mostly foreign-owned renewable energy companies using mostly Chinese-made wind turbines and solar panels an unfettered right to enter the land of these farmers and erect these monstrosities, all because it's part of a so-called green transition away from cheap and reliable fossil fuels, is dead wrong. As it stands now, Australia needs to double its renewable power generation in just 5 years to achieve the government's legislated 82% target. Now, 3 years back, Chris Bowen said this would require the erection of 40 large wind turbines every single month, 22,000 solar panels every single day for 7 years, plus the construction of at least 10,000 kilometres of new transmission towers. And because it's all now way behind schedule and way in front of the budget, this epic desecration of some of our nation's best agricultural land, well, it all must be massively sped up. Hence this insane push to destroy the amenity of the gorgeous countryside that people like Emma Webb and her family before her have been protecting for generations.
Every day I'm fielding phone calls from neighbours who are not coping with the stress, farmers who have worked their entire lives to care for the land and whose entire wealth and legacy is tied up in that land, who feel an overwhelming sense of powerlessness.
Only people living in the city, conditioned by years of green propaganda to believe there's a climate crisis that only swiftly ending the use of fossil fuels can ameliorate, will think it's smart to export Australian coal and gas to China to help them make wind turbines and solar panels that they then sell back to us so that we can no longer use our coal and our gas ourselves. I mean, how does that make sense? We are making ourselves poorer in order to make China richer so that we can engage in climate virtue signalling here while total global emissions keep going up and up. Honestly, this is mad. And more country people, whether it's Emma Webb's people near Yass or the Mallee farmers I visited earlier in the year or those campaigners on the Illawarra against the giant offshore wind farms, and we've seen that in Gippsland and Western Australia too, well, they all know that this is the ruination of our country.
My father and his brother didn't work their guts out for nothing. This is now my legacy. This is all their legacy.
We were shocked, we were nauseous, absolutely devastated. We felt totally ambushed, being treated like a peasant. We've got no rights.
During harvest, I saw some of them doing some surveys in the middle of the night. Went to approach him with a few neighbours and it ended up calling the police on us. They were actually the people that didn't have permission to be there.
I mean, this is a gigantic act of economic and environmental self-harm that we must stop before our country's scarred by forests of these gargantuan windmills that only turn about 30% of the time, and the overbuild of transmission lines needed to service the turbines that within 20 years or so will all be derelict anyway. I mean, that's right. Chris Bowen doesn't want you to understand that, but the big motors in these turbines are lucky to last 20 years, according to manufacturers, meaning that the shell companies, foreign companies that put them there and have creamed up all the subsidies, when they're long gone and onto their next scam, when these things are decommissioned, they'll be left to rust in the paddock.
With hosting, would never be enough to pay for the decommissioning yourself, which I think is conservatively at $600K per turbine.
$600,000 per turbine.
Yep, and that's quite conservative.
Now, these sensible, level-headed country people, they can see the injustice in companies paying some locals and not others to host the wind farms that destroy the amenity and the productiveness of everyone's land.
The more people know, those who still choose to take the money, they're willfully going against the sentiment of so many people in their community. It's going to have long-term ripple effects, and if they don't, at least respect that aspect of their decisions, then yeah, it's only going to get worse.
And it's that sneakiness of hiding behind commercial in confidence contracts that's pitting neighbour against neighbour. But if you thought this push was the worst of it, well, you're mistaken. This is just what's ahead of us now to reach the unattainable 2030 targets. Just wait till the government puts out the 2035 targets. We should have had them pre-election. I'll tell you why we didn't, because they'll be devastating. But we'll get them by Christmas. If you think it's bad now, these are the targets that will really rip agriculture apart. Not only will new and more ambitious targets, that's the government's spin, mean yet more wind turbines and even more solar panels disfiguring prime land and pristine national parks, but they'll directly impact on things like herd sizes, because it'll be agriculture itself that will be the emissions pariah, and it'll change forever the food we're allowed to eat by Canberra and the billions we make, or we used to make, out of agricultural exports. Now, there is a reckoning coming. And for all the talk of the government's agenda today in the Parliament, and as it was officially opened by the Governor-General, the elephant in the room is net zero. It's net zero and daylight in terms of what's going to impact this country over this next term of Parliament. It's going to hit our bottom line, it's going to hurt our exports, it's going to change our regional communities, it's going to impact the food you put in your fridge, the sort of car you drive, it's going to hit your power bill, as it has already, and it's going to fundamentally change the sort of country we are. A country right now with sovereign manufacturing into one that's increasingly dependent on imports from overseas. And when I say overseas, I mean here, China. So my question tonight is, when will the fight back come against this madness, and who's going to lead it? Will it be the populists who sometimes do more harm than good? Or will it be a revitalised Liberal National Coalition that's finally got out of its election-losing funk and woken up to the fact that net zero is incompatible with the social fabric of rural Australia, let alone the maintenance of a first world economy? Because if you want a path out of opposition, this is it.